142,000 individuals within 333.3 million Americans. A culture so unique, originating from the migration of individuals from one of the most populated countries in the world, located within Southeast Asia. This is Indonesian American culture, a culture built up of ethnic Indonesians residing in the United States. Many Indonesians immigrate from all parts of Indonesia for opportunities in America, creating a small community of immigrants that has developed into a group of 142,000 individuals. As an Indonesian American myself, I chose to share Indonesian American culture because it plays an everyday role in my life, from the foods I eat to how I act, and it also allows for more representation for Indonesian Americans like myself. Indonesian American culture, though a small community, plays a significant role in enriching American society, contributing to the diversity, representation, and inclusivity of American culture. But how did Indonesian people even get to America, and why would we leave such a place? Well, the first Indonesians who arrived in America settled in Southern California in the 1950s. They were dubbed Indos and refugees, following the Indonesian National Revolution against Dutch colonists. By 1965, the permanent settlement of Indonesians began to grow due to the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, opening many doors of opportunity for Asian immigration. The number of Indonesian American residents in America is minuscule compared to other Asian American communities. For example, Filipino Americans with 4.4 million living in the US and Korean Americans with 2 million. While their population is small, Indonesian American culture still thrives today in the hearts of its individuals. Indonesian American culture consists of two different cultures, Indonesian and American. But what even is Indonesian American culture exactly? Some characteristics of this culture include cultural cuisine, languages, religions, clothing, dances, and music. Most art and expression are tied to their spiritual connection with nature and religious figures. For example, batik, a dyeing technique using wax and dye on fabric, is an Indonesian art form used for traditional dress. There are many kinds of dance dramas performed in these traditional clothes with batik patterns, such as barong and piring, which literally means plate. Puppet shows called wayang kulit are some other forms of Indonesian American art culture. In my household, we consume a variety of both Indonesian foods and American foods. Rice is a central ingredient to the Indonesian diet. Indonesian Americans typically serve rice fried or boiled with a variety of other foods. Foods can include satay, baso, mie ayam, kerupuk, and many more mouth-watering dishes. Major holidays celebrated by most Indonesian Americans include Eid, Christmas, Easter, and Indonesian Independence Day on August 17th. My core text, Like the Moon and the Sun, Indonesia and the Words of an American Diplomat, is a memoir written by Stanley Harsha, who is the father of an Indonesian-American family. His wife is Indonesian and his children are mixed. While living in America, he has realized that his household has become a pot of baso and macaroni, a mix of embracing Indonesian customs like Kartini Day alongside American traditions like Thanksgiving. Most of the values that Indonesian Americans hold stem from Indonesian values. Many of these values include aspects of work, education, and family. For example, family is considered the bedrock of Indonesian American culture. Affection is rarely shown openly, yet bonds are close and each member of the family has an unspoken commitment to care for each other. Parental authority is very dominant in decision-making, especially in the father's role. In terms of work values, Indonesian Americans heavily value diligence and dedication. Within my household, education is a top priority according to my parents, even above my extracurriculars and sports. While these values are most noticeable, there are subtle and unwritten rules of Indonesian American culture as well. For example, in Indonesian American families, there is respect for hierarchy and authority, requiring deference to elders and figures of authority. Another rule is that since Indonesians are very harmonious, Indonesian Americans practice indirect communication to avoid confrontation to preserve the harmony. All of these characteristics of Indonesian American culture are great, but where is the community that supports it? Well, the Indonesian American community is small and there is not a set concentration of Indonesian American people in one area, compared to other places like Koreatown or Little Tokyo. However, the highest concentration of Indonesian Americans would be the Los Angeles area with a little over 14,000 individuals in it. In my experience, most Indonesian Americans congregate and celebrate holidays within the comfort of their homes. Every New Year, Thanksgiving, or just any kind of celebration, my family and about 3 other Indonesian American families meet up in one household, eat good Indonesian food, catch up with each other, and just celebrate whatever. It is a custom to always bring some kind of food to the party as a sign of gratitude towards the host. These celebrations are very warm and welcoming. There will also always be some kind of mix of Indonesian and American karaoke, music, or dancing. These parties, celebrations, and meetups last around until midnight, usually because everyone is too busy chatting, eating, or singing to care about going home. In a broader community, many Indonesians in the Los Angeles area congregate to the Indonesian consulate, which is located in, ironically, Koreatown of LA. There, many cultural events are hosted, such as the celebration of Independence Day to small concerts of Indonesian artists. There are traditional dances performed in batik, sarongs, and kebaya, karaoke contests, and most importantly, free food. I involve myself in the Indonesian American culture through the food I bring to these celebrations. In my experience, these events are a great way to meet other Indonesian Americans and to reconnect with their culture. In a broader sense, Indonesian American culture plays a major role in American society. Indonesian American culture enriches America's cultural outlook. Our culture contributes to the vibrant diversity of this country's melting pot. For instance, Indonesian cuisine has gained American popularity with its rich flavors and diverse ingredients. Within my core text, like the moon and the sun, the author displays the importance of cultural diversity through his examples of the culinary scene in cities like Los Angeles and New York. Not just food, but also Indonesian American music enriches America's cultural scene as well. While traditional Indonesian music with extravagant dances is one way we represent Indonesian American culture, modern music also plays a major role as well. Popular Indonesian American musical artists like Rich Brian, Stephanie Poetry, Warren Hugh, and of course, Nicki, share their music and serve as representatives of Indonesian American culture. For example, Nicki talks about her high school experiences in the capital of Indonesia, Jakarta. The song California by Nicki, Rich Brian, and Warren Hugh shares experiences of moving to California and being foreigners, especially as Indonesian Americans. In an interview about the song, Rich Brian comments, "People don't really portray Asians as Americans, you know? They just give certain roles to Asian American people, so I just want to be as myself as possible so that other kids can be just themselves." The broader acceptance and appreciation of Indonesian American culture within American society enriches the national cultural landscape. Within my core text, Stanley Harsha shares instances of discrimination against his Indonesian American family members, mentioning that his wife and children have encountered occasional discrimination, which made them feel like outsiders in their own country. Spreading awareness about cultures like ours is important to steer away from these unfortunate events. However, we can only learn if our culture is represented. Just as I said before, Indonesian American culture plays a major role in American society because it enriches the American cultural landscape, allows for representation, and raises awareness and inclusivity. As an Indonesian American living in Los Angeles County, I am actively involved in preserving and celebrating my cultural heritage. Growing up, I never really understood what my culture was, and because I never saw myself represented in media, it was only until when I was 10 that I traveled to Indonesia for the first time. I was so amazed by the vibrant culture that it inspired me to want to learn more and more about my heritage. When I came home from Indonesia, I wanted to be involved in the small Indonesian American community in Los Angeles. I attended cultural festivities, attended traditional dance and music festivals, learned Bahasa Indonesian, and of course shared my love of food through Indonesian dishes and desserts. I play a vital role in sustaining and representing this small community. And even if the representation of Indonesian American culture in media is still minuscule, I'm still able to immerse myself in the community and its customs. Indonesian American culture shapes who I am, how I view this world, and the values I uphold. In every form of my life, I am immersed in my culture, which is why it is so integrated into my identity. My connection to my Indonesian roots combined with my American upbringing has molded me into the person I am today. Indonesian American culture is an important part of American identity and culture, as it plays a role in enriching Americans, creating diversity, representation, and inclusivity of Indonesian Americans in American culture.